Yeah. It's getting crazy out here, y'all. Stay focused. Let's go, KD. Take a look around you. You're gonna find your way, man. Find your way, man. You're gonna find your way. Yeah, take a look around you. You're gonna find your way, man. Yeah, I ain't talk is talk, and move is move. When I come in, bitch, I change the way. Got things to do. I done pay my dues. But where was you? Nigga, where was you? I said, take a look around you, nigga, find your way, man. Find your way, man. Find your way, man. I said, take a look around you, nigga, find your way, man. Find your way, man. Find your way, man. Hey, you the one that say that. You and me go way back. When this whole thing over, I'ma send my invoice payday. You don't wanna say that. You don't want this payback. I keep my composure. This my kingdom, nigga. Stay back. We had a couple of moments. You had a choice, nigga, on it. Your real colors, they showing. I'm real, nigga, I'm focused. When I come around, I'm fly with it. Stay moving, do buy with it. New sound, just vibe with it. Same truth and we die with it. I see it like it's an obstacle. I never sit on the fence. Nothing to me is impossible. Music of me to the end. Most of the shit is illogical. All of y'all niggas depend on what they pretend. Just think what you had. Stop looking at trends. You wearing your eyes like it's topical. Clearly now, the pain is gone. The fame is on and they play my songs. Yeah, it's real. Yeah, it's real. Yeah, I ain't talk is talk, and move is move. When I come in, bitch, I change the way. Got things to do, I done pay my dues. But where was you? Nigga, where was you? I said, take a look around you, nigga, find your way, babe. Find your way, babe. Find your way, babe. I said, take a look around you, nigga, find your way, babe. Find your way, babe. Find your way, babe. New era, I got y'all. Real gang, we pop off, no knockoffs. Open eyes, we watch out. Mobilize, won't cop out. COVID-19 cops out, don't flop now. Open skies, we fly now. New agenda, they try now. Most y'all getting real scared of the headlines when you find out. End game getting real near. If you don't know, you behind now. Behind the times, government hide behind the lines. Most brands trying to monetize. All of us have to stay inside, don't socialize. Talk is talk, and move is move. When I come in, bitch, I change the way. Got things to do, I done pay my dues. But where was you? Nigga, where was you? I said, take a look around you, nigga, find your way, babe. Find your way, babe. Find your way, babe. I said, take a look around you, nigga, find your way, babe. Find your way, babe. Find your way, babe.
The following program is rated TV MANOC. It contains a big pair of nuts directly on your chin. It is intended only for mature audiences. Viewer discretion advised.
Power in numbers and representation.
Fat people are humans.
Size privilege.
Diet.
You don't have any power.
Stupidity!
Diabetes.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Obesity is epidemic in the United States and a major cause of death.
What is fat activism?
I, a fat person, am sharing my own lived experience.
Pizza is a vegetable.
Your fat phobia is your problem.
It is not my place as a smaller-bodied white man to comment on it.
Radical body positivity.
What can men do against such reckless hate?
There's only one man who can help me.
This is for you new people. I only have one rule. Everyone fights, no one quits.
This day we fight!
Well, normal.
The sun is shining, the birds are chirping, the bacon is sizzling. Welcome to the Daily Swole.
Testing. Testing, testicles. Welcome, everyone, to episode 25 Hundo and 20 dose of the Daily Mother Swole, the most muscular Swolecast, Beercast, Broadcast, Gamecast, Mancast, Pimpcast, Sleazecast, and Slaycast in the realm, because when I flex, you flex, we all flex our biceps. What's going on, beaches, booshes, busters, hustlers, and your hoes? It's your boy Papa Swolio back with another episode. Today's episode of Beescast is brought to you, is sponsored by Everson K2 Flexin on all you be.
It's the fucking Catalina wine mixer. The fucking Catalina wine mixer.
All right, let's get this hair out of the way. Welcome, fam, to the show. Welcome to episode 2522. It's Sunday, April the Dose, and it's Ask Papa Swolio Live. So what's going on with this sidebar? There's no tip today. There's no balls deep. What is going on over there? It's just knowledge cock. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows that on the Sunday Funday Q&A, it's just knowledge cock. It's just the thick, pulsing knowledge cock. So you could start dropping your questions in the comments down below. Hashtag Ask Papa Swolio. We got a lot of calls to get through. We got a lot of shit to dig into, and I'm excited for all of it. All right, thanks for being here, and let's get into the tip. Drop a comment down below. What are you smashing today? And of course, go and visit swolenormousx.com for all the amazing programs and content that we have. We got a Swole Fam accountability meeting tomorrow at 12 noon. So the membership is available now. If you are ready to get your Swole Fam on, tomorrow's episode will be private for members only. April 3rd is mañana, and 12 noon Eastern time, we have our live call accountability meeting, the world famous accountability meeting. So we'll see you then. This past Friday, we had an awesome new overtime segment with the brand new Drive While Gaining. That's available for members. And on Thursday, we had our Rise and Swole at 9 a.m. This week, we have, of course, on the opposite weeks or the alternating weeks after Rise and Swole, we have our Swole Fam Roundtable on Thursday. So we got a lot of stuff going on. If you want to surround yourself with the best people in the realm and you want to start crushing your 7 pillars today, join the Swole Fam now, swolenormousx.com, and check out all those links in the show notes below. We'll see you tomorrow. Everyone coming in through the door. What's going on, Cerny, Alan, Connor, Davey? How we doing, Loretta, Becca? Everyone's here, so let's get the nut exposed. Let's bust it open, and let's get into some questions. Drop in the comments. What are you smashing today? Let's summon the Falcon, and have a great show. Falcon. Nah. Putting some respect on it, beaches. All right, we're kicking off Summer Swole. Summer Swole is here. It is Swole season. It is the season of Swole. And honestly, I think we could say that every day. It is the season of Swole. It is the saison of Swole. So drop that in the comments down below. We got a little Inception Swole going on. All right. Hashtag Swole season for a chance to win today's Swole card. We'll give it away at the end of today's episode. So today, if you don't know, all questions, let's say hi to the Tainty Man. So drop your questions right now in the comments. We're going to kick it off in the best possible way. We're going to kick it off with a little, let's see what we got here. Yeah, the accountability meeting. We talked about the Drive While Gaining, the V-Shred, Chody McChoderson. V-Shred Fake being a guest on Joe Rogan's podcast. Brand new Drive While Gaining available on Swole TV. Go and check that out for members. Fucking awesome. We'll kick it off with a phone call. This one's, the name is Guy with Love Handles. I wonder what this question's about.
Hi, Papa. So I wanted to ask you that how should I lose my love handles? Like, it has turned my body into a shapeless piece of shit. I don't like them at all. Everything is
Okay,
perfect.
I'm going to stop it because I could barely hear you. Please, when you call in, please make sure you speak up. So you want to get rid of your love handles? I think it's kind of weird. We call them love handles. Like who wants to grab chunks of fat, right? Okay, well, you need to improve your nutrition. I don't know if you're from India. It sounds like you are. And I know a lot of people in India are vegetarian and they don't eat meat. And it's like, why are you? I know culturally you just are disregarding the best food on the fucking planet, but I would make sure that you are minimizing and testing foods, cutting out a lot of carbohydrate based foods and vegetables and testing them, see which foods help you perform better, make sure you're getting plenty of protein, getting quality sleep, all the standard things. You need to make sure you rebalance your hormones by not staying up super late at night. It depends. I don't really know what to tell you if I don't know what you're currently doing. So if you're asking me or anyone asks me a question specifically about that, how do I get rid of love handles? Well, tell me what you're doing so I can give you some insights as to what next steps you should probably work on. Because some people need to start from literally square one. Some people are already doing some things well and they can, improve from there and they can actually take it to the next level. They don't have to necessarily start at the very, very beginning. They already have some habits and things locked in. So hard to answer that question aside from an elimination diet, eating higher protein, lifting heavy weights, getting better sleep, all those things. All right. So thanks for the call. Thanks for the question. And just make sure anyone, if you're listening to this and you do like to call in, just make sure you speak up because sometimes it's really quiet. Sometimes it's really quiet and it's hard. Michelle. Oh, hi. Hi, Tainty Man and Papa. Hello. Let's see the Tainty Man. Hi, Tainty Boy. Oh, hi, Tainty Boy. We also got a little... Just Church is sleeping there with the cord on her head. Let's give her back a little bit. There you go. Just sleeping with the cord on her head. Not worried about it. Just cord on her face. That's it. Cerny says a lot of the time people just aren't eating the right food. Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? They're just not eating the right foods. They're eating foods that are causing their body harm. And people underestimate the impact of the food. They just think it's the quantity. And that's not the case. Couldn't be further from the truth. Needs to coincide with optimal foods and reduce inflammation. We get a call here from Eric. Eric, you're on the line.
Hey, Papa. I love you.
Why, thank you. Didn't we do this yesterday? I think we did that one yesterday. I think there's something wrong with the syncing going on with these the questions. So we did that yesterday. I'm going to delete the next couple because I think those were all duplicates. I don't know how they entered back in. Let's see. All right. So we did that one yesterday. I don't mind. I love you. Thank you. All right. We'll do one more call and then we're going to get into some live questions. Please drop them in the comments. Otherwise, we will not be getting to your question today. Drop it in the chat. We got a lot of Instagram questions too.
How much magnesium glycinate would you recommend taking? Right now, I'm taking 200 milligrams, and I've seen a little bit of a difference, but I was wondering if I should double down and do 400 a day. I started taking it about a month ago when you had last talked about it. So thanks in advance.
You got it, Aaron. I would recommend 500 and then see where it is from there. I mean, 400 is fine. I mean, but I would definitely, most people should be taking probably 500 a day, but it's always good to start those things lower and then increase as needed. So it's always a good idea when you start you take any kind of additional thing, whether it's a supplement or a food, add it small, smart, and then you can always increase later. Lawson Dawson, Papa Swolio, why are doctors pushing seed oils, saying they are heart healthy and lower LDL and are against saturated fats? Shouldn't doctors be saying the opposite? Most people just parrot what they learned 30 or 40 years ago in medical school. And there's a lot of biases. There's a lot of manipulation. There's a lot of biased studies. There's a lot of, it's just ideological. Why were doctors pushing vaccines on pregnant women and children the past couple of years? Not saying it's literally the same doctors are pushing seed oils, but just because someone has a couple consonants after their name, just because they have a PhD or an MD does not mean they know what they're talking about. There are a lot of people that, especially science or nutrition people, that if there's not a study on it, oh no, there's no study on this. There's no study that shows this. There's no study that shows this. They can't use their brains and think with common sense. They can't think and analyze based on just, they can't critically think. If there's no paper that says it, and that's in my opinion, it's a pussified way to go after things. I'm not saying I don't believe in science. Science is not a thing. Science is not a noun. It's the process of questioning and testing and constantly learning. Okay. So people that are only talking based on what a study has shown, and we know how manipulated those studies can be and how hard it is to do studies on any of these like nutrition protocols, then it gives them, they don't have to do any additional work. And I'm saying that in a generality. I'm not saying reading these studies are easy and et cetera, but they have a scapegoat. They're just parroting what someone else has studied. And though that has pros and cons, they just don't think critically. And just because there isn't a triple blind study doesn't mean there isn't a better way to do things, or there isn't a common sense or logical way to approach things. So there's a lot of money that, definitely changes hands. The cholesterol myth, I would recommend Dawson to read the book, The Great Cholesterol Myth. That will explain how cholesterol got completely played and completely manipulated and misdirected and leveraged to promote drugs and pharmaceuticals, and how most people, especially professionals and medical professionals, misinterpret cholesterol and don't address the real issues. That's the best way to say, rather than just try to parrot everything from that book, but it explains everything. It's complicated. And it's hard to keep all these things in your head. But once you're aware of the incentives behind these things. So you hear a lot of times, well, doctors know what they're talking about. I listen to my doctor. Go talk to your doctor. And a lot of doctors probably start off their journeys with good intentions, but you have to look at where the incentives are. The incentives are to write prescriptions. The incentives are to get people on prescription. The incentives are not to help people change their lifestyle habits. All the way up to the top, to pharmaceutical companies, hospitals. It's not really to get people better. It's to bill you as much as possible. It's to make as much money as possible. And people don't like to talk about this. People don't like to say it out loud because it sounds sketchy and skeezy and sleazy. Skeezy, sleazy. It sounds shisty, and it is. It is. It's to make a profit. Hospitals are trying to make as much profit as possible. Pharmaceutical companies, insurance companies, everyone's trying to make as much money as possible. So you have to look at where the incentives are. And unfortunately, the incentives are to make more money. It's not to get you healthier. Okay. Let's see here. Chris.Such. Chris Such. Or Such. Papa Swolio, what do you think of apple cider vinegar? Do you think it's useful at all? I put it in the water when I make my bone broth. I don't drink apple cider vinegar. I don't really use it for other things. I don't prescribe to taking a shot of it or drinking apple cider vinegar, but there's a lot of uses for it, or a lot of things that you can use those things for. I just don't consume it aside from putting it in the water with the bones so it can leach more minerals from the bones when you're boiling them. Let's see, Lawson. Amen. I always use ghee or tallow as opposed to the oils. I've lost fat by eating more saturated fat too. Exactly. I use beef tallow. I use grass-fed butter. Ghee is a good option too. I don't use ghee, but I have, and that's a good option. Ito Nick, what do you wash your beard mustache with? Water. I don't use like a beard wash or anything like that. I rinse off, and if I'm using face wash or something, or beef tallow soap, like it'll get in the beard as well. But I don't use anything particular in terms of beard wash, but I use jojoba oil for my skin and hair. There's a lot of different good beard oil blends that you can use with jojoba oil and argan oil and things of that nature. I don't do any particular beard wash though. 15, Chavez. Why is the best exercise for biceps? You mean, what is the best exercise for biceps? There is none. Anytime you ask me something, what's the best? Rarely will I give you a specific answer because it depends on the individual. So it depends on what aspect you want to work on. Most people don't train hard enough to need variety. You can build biceps in a big way just by doing barbell curls. You don't need variety. If you're trying to build mass, if you're trying to get fucking huge, basics. I'm telling you, if that's your goal, like I want to put on as much muscle as possible, bench, squat, rows, pull-ups, push-ups, curls, close grip bench, triceps extensions. That's it. I'm telling you, like that's it. Shoulder press. There are subtle variations, but the basics will get you big. Dips. The basics will get you big. Everyone thinks that variety is going to build more muscle. Couldn't be farther from the truth. Variety does not build muscle. Variety does not build muscle. Progressive overload does. You do not need variety. Unpopular opinion in many circles. You do not need variety. Can variety or changing things or choosing different exercises create a different stimulus? Yes, on a micro level. And certain exercises might be better for certain things. If you have an application for a sport, you need different types of specificity training. That's a whole different conversation. People conflate all aspects of fitness. There's so many different areas. So whatever your training that you're doing should be based on the outcome you want. If you're trying to become a better basketball player, then you need specific drills and training protocols for that. If you just want to put on a lot of muscle, basics. 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 Kathleen, do you have any videos in Swole X explaining how to fix muscle imbalances? Depends on how you mean. It's very simple. You just address that side. You know, if you have a stronger muscle on one side, you address that weaker side. The 90-day dash does that with the stabilization exercises. The yoga does that. The Swolga does that. The Swollen 7 mobility does that. A lot of times it's neuromuscular coordination that deactivates muscle when you're doing strength training exercise. So activating and doing more isolation on that weaker side or that less coordinated side, that less dominant side will bring it up in all strength training exercises. If you have anything in particular you're asking for, like the hip mobility master classes, the ankle mobility master classes, the knee mobility master classes, those are all, so it depends on what you're targeting. Or what, if you have something specific, a specific muscle imbalance, I mean, a lot of them are the same in terms of the concept. So if you have something specific, I can answer your question. So it's pretty general and it's pretty understood that muscle imbalances require. But if you're very specific muscle imbalances, then that might need some specific answers. But there's a lot of content in there that addresses muscle imbalances. If you have something in particular that you're looking for. Michelle, substitute for the pec deck. I have cables, kettlebells, and Smith machine. Cool. You could do dumbbell flies. I don't do pec deck. I know that's in one of the earlier programs, but I don't use a pec deck. I do dumbbell flies. You could do cable crossovers. You can do push-ups with sliding discs. A pec deck is not required for chest. It's not required. Cables are fine. Kettlebells, you could do flies with kettlebells. Flies with kettlebells are fantastic because of the offset with the weight. Smith machine, you can use that for a bunch of different things. I hate the angled Smith machine, so hopefully you don't have one of those. Those fucking drive me crazy. I hate those ones where they're angled. Ugh. I hate those. So any chest exercise. Remember the chest, the pecs, like they're pulling towards the midline. Subtle angle changes will hit maybe a little bit more of the clavicular head or a little bit more of the sternal head. So maybe a slight decline or a slight incline. You don't need a high incline. You don't need a 45 degrees. You can just do a low incline or a low decline. We'll get you that. But any kind of fly is a good idea. You can use bands too. Bart got ducks. That's so weird. Weird names people choose. Papa Swolio, should I train bodybuilding or focus on the gym first? All right, you're getting a Matt Damon. What the fuck is that, man? Damon. Should I lift weights or focus on lifting first? That doesn't even make any sense. Pranchazo al pecho. Papa Swolio, are you already try to drink milk from a cow? Bull milk looks awful. So I guess this is a language barrier and or a 9-year-old that was watching one of my videos where I'm drinking bull milk. Anyone that knows, bulls don't create milk. They're just jizzing. So it's a joke. And if I'm drinking the bull milk, it's actually kefir or yogurt. So it's actually not bull milk. Bull milk is just jizz. It's just jizz. That's the joke. That's the joke. Zeki Carlo. Papa Swolio, morning routine. I think we just talked about it yesterday. I wake up, I jump in the cold plunge, and then I do the morning mule. I strap onto the sled and I start walking forwards and backwards for 10, 15 minutes, just do several laps. And then I usually grab a club and I just do a few minutes, 5 or 10 minutes of club work while Rufus sniffs and pees and poops and stuff. Get some morning sun, and then I'll come in and make coffee, X, Y, and Z, blah, blah. Sometimes I'll get right into a workout, but I like to do the show first in the morning. I like to do the show earlier rather than later. So I usually lift my heavier weight session later. So a little bit of mobility and movement. Okay. Skip that one. Miguel Levia, 25. Which gym do you go to? I have a home gym. I train at home. Arkit 1012. Papa Swolio, best way to bulk. Eat more food. Get plenty of protein, lift heavy fucking weights, and be patient. You have to put in tons of effort. Prioritize health and fitness, as everyone should be, and it's going to take months and years. Get to it. Crotter Isaias. Creatine or protein? I started working out and I don't know which one to choose. I mean, both. If you eat steak, you get both. You get creatine and protein. So I guess you're talking about supplements. You probably aren't focusing enough on your nutrition and strength training. So it's not either or. I recommend both. Creatine is great. Protein is essential. So you just started working out, which means you should be focusing on the fundamentals rather than what supplements you're buying. I guarantee that your whole food nutrition is lacking if you're already focusing on just protein and creatine. I know you're focused, that's nutrition based, but you're better off spending more money on eating big and getting in the habit of eating a lot of protein, a lot of food regularly and prepping it. Most people fail and most people fall short because they eat junk food, they eat garbage, they don't have the time management skills, and they haven't figured out their schedule for cooking. Like it takes a lot of food and you have to be prepping food all the time. So you have to get into the flow of shopping and cooking and, you know, cooking a bunch of food, cooking a few pounds of beef at one time and putting it in containers. If you're working in out of the house a lot, you need to be prepared. So that's where a lot of people, you know, fail to prepare. You're preparing to fail. Tyler, Papa Swolio, what type of yoga and mobility would you recommend for the morning to start off the day with? Anything. We have morning flows in X. We have any kind of mobility, anything. You could just do the same routine every day. You could just do some upward dog, downward dog, do some chaturangas, do some side bends, some Cossack squats. You could do some crawls. You could do anything. There's so many types. What type? Everything. Start slow. Start with some light movement. Start with some dead hangs. Just hang from a bar. Just find something that you can stick to and be consistent. Anything, if you have weak points or areas where you're really tight or really immobile, focus on that. Focus on those weak points. YSHY Yishititi. Papa Swolio, I recently started going to the gym because of you. Glad to hear it. How do I stay focused? By staying consistent. You need to create that higher power for yourself. So you don't make excuses. Because you're not going to feel like it most of the time. What you mean is how you stay focused. That's being consistent. So being disciplined, doing it whether or not you feel like it. So you do it by being objective. You need to do it. It's not a question. You're doing it today, then you figure out how. So you're doing it. It needs to be more important. You can't be overriding yourself and making excuses and slacking. So how do you stay focused? By following the 7 pillars, meditating, doing it first thing. Do the most important things first in your day. The most important things, do them first. Buzzy Buzz 6, Papa Swolio, how to forget that bitch? Go to the fucking gym.
Emotional damage.
Kika Duarte, hola papi. Back in the game after my hand, recovering, getting inspiration from this awesome community. I want to know what you think about caffeine and drinks that improve your performance at the gym. Well, I question a lot of those drinks actually improving performance. They just kind of jack you up and stimulate your central nervous system. So I would recommend if you're drinking coffee, like black coffee, get a high quality roast. We get this fresh. Oh, it's great. We get it fresh delivered to the house. Like we get the bags, and the date of roasting was like yesterday. It's fucking awesome. So anyway, I wake up, I don't drink coffee right away. I'm up for like an hour, 2 hours before I have any caffeine. It'll eliminate those afternoon crashes, and it's much better. It's much better in that sense. So just black coffee is fine for me. That's what I think. I don't think anything, I wouldn't drink any of those other artificial sweetened drinks and things like that. Just some black coffee. It's my recommendation. Tyler, can you take too much sauerkraut? Is it beneficial for the digestive system? I used to have some sauerkraut. We have some sauerkraut in there. It's been there for like 2 years, but it just makes me bloated and gassy. I prefer kefir, which is fermented dairy. So you get a lot of the probiotics. So fermented foods can be beneficial for your gut. And the reason why I like kefir is because the bacteria in which generates and creates the fermented milk actually break down the lactose. So it makes it easier to consume and digest. So really that's what you're trying to do. Of course, fermented foods keep them longer so you can store them. That's why people used to can foods, because when there was a famine or when there was winter, you would have foods in cans and or jars and stuff like that that could be preserved. It was used to preserve foods. And probiotics help populate the gut. So kefir is great. If you can definitely have too much sauerkraut in my opinion. I personally don't consume it anymore. It always made me feel uncomfortable and just made me more bloated and gassy. So I never really liked the outcome, probably because of the cabbage. But I prefer the kefir. Don't have problems with that. So quite certain you can, so don't overdo it. Mika, Papa Swole, I've been looking into sun lamps because I work inside all day and don't really get enough sunshine, especially in the winter months. Have you used one, or is there one you recommend? I don't use sun lamps, and it's not going to produce the same type of like UVA and UVB that the sun does. That's really important. You might want to look into red light therapy rather than a sun lamp. You might want to look into that red light therapy. You can get these devices. They're not cheap, but you can get ones for just your face too that are less expensive and more portable. So you can look into the red light therapy. That might be a little bit more beneficial for your mitochondria and for your circadian rhythm. But if anyone else has any recommendations, you could drop that. That's one thing that I certainly don't have any in terms of not getting sun. There's no shortage down here. So yeah, so I never really looked into, hey, I'm not getting enough sunlight. What should I do? But I would make sure you're taking vitamin D though also. Connor, how much water should I be drinking as a 200-pound dude? Usually a good guide is half your body weight in ounces, so 100 ounces a day minimum. It depends. It depends on how much you're exercising and stuff like that, and how much you're sweating and the environment that you're in. If you're sweating a lot, losing a lot of water, you might need more, but also look into electrolytes because that's a huge part of hydration. It's not just straight water. And make sure you're drinking filtered water. Don't drink tap water. My recommendation. Or if you have well water, make sure you get the well water tested. Lots of knowledge cock today. Let's fucking go, fam. Hashtag Ask Papa Swolio for a chance to be featured. And of course, you can go to askpapaswolio.com if you want to call in for Tuesday's episode. Tomorrow is our accountability meeting. And it'll be private for members. So if you're a member of Swolenormous X, you can ask whatever questions tomorrow. It's a private member Q&A, which is another benefit. Any private live stream, you could ask questions. So it's just a lot more access for members to facilitate their training, their 7 pillars, and get a little bit more into the nitty gritty of their individual concerns, especially with the live calls. But askpapaswolio.com, submit a question. It's available 24 hours a day worldwide. Just go to the website, submit a call, and we'll get to it on Tuesday, the next public episode on Tuesday. On Thursday. All right. A lot of people are commenting about fermented food. Just start off slow. If you've never had fermented food and you go and pound a lot, you're going to feel uncomfortable. You're adding a ton of new bacterial strains to your body, and might get a lot of bloating. So always small. If you've never had sauerkraut before, okay, just have a little bit, a little tiny bit. I think kefir is superior, but it's going to be different. It's going to be different. Just make sure you start small. Start small, and then if you feel good, implement more over time. But one of the biggest mistakes people do is they just start pounding fermented food, and you's going to get gassy. Peppo rocks. Hello, Peppo. Papa Swolio, how can I motivate myself to exercise every day? I want to exercise every day like you, Papa Swolio. Well, I'm glad that you want to train, so do it. It's that fucking simple. Where's the magic? Where's the magic? Where's the mystery? How do I motivate myself to exercise every day? You don't. Just exercise every day. There you go. There you have it. You're looking for something really fancy, right? Some secret. How do you do it? You do it. How do you do it? You do it. All right. Steffi J. King, Papa Swolio, how to keep a healthy nutrition on weekends. Again, you do it. So let's not complicate this stuff, people. Your healthy nutrition, you're not spending time with people that are obviously focused on eating properly. You have bad habits. You're going to environments that have a lot of shit food. You're not preparing. You're not prioritizing. You're probably not eating the right foods for the right reasons, which is taking you off track. You don't really know why you're making these choices or making why you should be making better food choices. So the logic isn't there. You're not connecting the two. You're just like, how do I eat healthy on the weekends? Like, for fuck's sake, people, by eating healthy on the weekends. Now, what does healthy mean? Eating the right foods, eating foods that you've evolved to eat over millennia. Eating foods that work best for your body. How do you do that? You do an elimination diet. So the problem with the weekends is that people are chronically exhausted. Their whole schedule changes. They're in different environments. They go out to bars and clubs and movies and shit like that. And guess what you're going to do? You're going to eat all the shit around you because you're just compulsively addicted to these garbage foods. So stop putting yourself in environments where this exists. Either eat first. If you're going out to dinner with friends and you don't want to eat, they're going to Taco Tuesday or some shit. I know that's not the weekend, but that's one of the stupidest things ever. Oh, it's Tuesday. Let's eat tacos. Okay, fat fuck. Okay. Oh, it's Tuesday. You eat the tacos? Because it's a Tuesday. Oh, I got to eat the tacos. You fucking sheep. Eat the foods that work best for your body. Eat first. If you're going to an event and you want to spend time with your friends, I get it. That's fine. People just always have to have food when they hang out with people because it's a social excuse. Yes, we use it as bonding. Yes, we use it as community. Fine, but it's not like it should be where the entire day was about collecting food and hunting, and then you bring it back and you sit around a campfire and you fucking eat the food that you just killed. It's a social event because everyone was out in the fields picking fruit and stuff like that and crops and, milking the cows. And the entire day was about tending the land and the farm and hunting. Everything was about gathering the food, and then you come together and bring all your wares together and you would share them with the community and with your tribe and stuff like that. So now when you have everything at your fingertips, we just sit around and eat. Hey, we're going to hang out. It's always getting a drink, getting food, go eat here, go eat there. So if you want to hang out with people and they're going to be eating shit fucking food, one, you could spend your time with better people that want to take care of their health, or you could either bring your own food or eat first. Eating first solves a lot of problems, and you go there and you're just not hungry. So it really depends on where you are with your addictions and where you are with what you want to accomplish. If you put in average effort, you're going to get sub-average results. You put in amazing effort, you're going to get decent results. You keep taking that next level, you'll get better results, but it's never going to be 100%. But you have to stop making excuses. How to keep, it's the weekend. How do I stay fucking healthy? By sticking to it, by doing it. There's nothing different. The sun's up in the sky. Oh, it's the weekend. I can't eat healthy. Keep believing that bullshit story you're telling yourself. Nonsense. That's your fault. How to keep it. Slap yourself in the tits and stop making bullshit excuses. Oh, it's Saturday. Oh, it's Saturday. So what? It's Sunday today. Ooh, okay. Better eat some cake. You're just lying to yourself. You're making an excuse. You don't really want to make those changes. Otherwise you would. The only person that's stopping you from eating the shit is you. Connor, how long does it take to see results after starting workouts? I've seen 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, but never have seen a consistent answer. It could take forever if you don't do it right. So stop worrying about how long it takes and train hard and be consistent. Didn't expect that for an answer probably, but that's the best one you're going to get. It doesn't take 8 weeks to see results. What does that even mean? What does results even mean? 10 weeks, 12 weeks? Those are just bullshit answers people tell you. People want to act like they know what they're talking about, so they just give you a number and it sounds, ooh, applicable. How much to lose 1 pound of fat to get a little bit stronger? Like, how are you measuring this? Everyone's different. It could take forever. If you start training and you don't do it right, you might never see results. Like, what does that even mean? Will, Papa Swolio, how long does it take to get my Swole card in the mail? I won on episode 2501 and hasn't arrived. Not a big deal, but I was just curious. It might not even have been sent out yet. We don't send them out every day, so they go out in batches. So how long? Soon. There's a whole bunch of them over here, so they'll probably be going out in the next week or two, I would assume. Stay tuned. You're not going to get it like the next day if you win, for example. But they always come. They always come. Unless they get lost in the mail, and we can't control that. But they always go out. Every single one that gets won, that when people submit it, they get sent out. Okay, let's see. And Signature Series will be going out soon too. Loretta says, I received 2,500 on Friday. I'm in Canada. So maybe 2,501 went out. What are we at? 2,522? It might have gone out. Maybe you'll get it. It depends on where you are in the world. Like the mail, what we've noticed is it's just, it might get lost. I don't know. I mean, I can't tell you if it's lost or not. But especially during the lockdowns and stuff, Swole cards took forever to get to like Australia and stuff. It's still surprising though. The fact that they actually arrive in Australia is still fascinating to me. You send something there, it actually shows up. So that's a miracle in itself. I'm not so worried that it took a couple weeks. Cerny, can a Swiss bar help ease stress off my shoulders when doing chest presses? A Swiss bar? You mean the ones with angled? Sure, it can. You shouldn't be really high. I mean, you should keep your elbows closer. So a Swiss bar, if those that don't know, as I define a Swiss bar, there are a lot of different bars with neutral grip and angled grips and stuff like that. So it can, or you can use dumbbells. But a Swiss bar will definitely allow you to change your wrist position. Genevieve. Hello, Genevieve. I took your advice on training intensity. In a set of 4, I used 2 sets as a warm-up and smashed the last 2. Could push 25% heavier on the working sets and really surprise myself how far I could push. Hell yeah, good for you. So what's interesting is, let's say you're doing 4 exercises, Jen. So let's say you're doing 4 exercises, right? So if you're doing 4 exercises, 4 sets, think about how much energy you're going to have on set 12, 13, 14, 15. Like that exercise at the end gets completely shafted. Of course, no matter what you do, the exercises you do at the beginning are going to get the more attention. So if you have weaker body parts or weaker movements, do them first, right? You want to bring up your calves or forearms or certain things. Prioritize these exercises. If you really want to bring up a certain press movement or a row movement, do it first in your workout. But if you're doing, let's say, 1 working set or 1 all-out set or 2 all-out sets, then in that 4th exercise, it's set 7 and 8 rather than 16, and you're pushing harder. So you're going to get more out of those sets because you're just more fresh. You're more fresh. You're able to lift heavier, push harder, go more to failure because you're putting all your energy into like 1 or 2 all-out sets rather than just doing 4 sets of sub-max and just doing a ton of volume. I did legs, what was it? Not yesterday, not the day before. So, what was it? Yesterday? Friday. I think it was Thursday. I did quad focus legs and I did like 4 or 5 working. I am still I'm feeling it. But you'll recover you'll be really sore and you can really overload, but you'll recover faster because you're doing less volume. The intensity is high and then you can hit it again. It's a cool way to tweak it up. It's a cool way to adjust your training. It gives you more perspective as to how hard you can push, and it can open up some things for you. So everyone's going to be a little bit different. You can build muscle in many different ways, but it's a great way to adjust your training, especially as you get older. And it's a little bit more inspiring, in my opinion. Will, are there any exercise that you avoid that is typically an exercise that you see everyone doing? Or just exercise you don't do because you feel they're overhyped? That I see everyone doing. I wouldn't say avoid. I never look at it. Like, I don't care what other people are doing. I want to know what works best for me. So I'll try different things. Exercise I don't do because they are overhyped. I would say I don't know, maybe like the cable crossover, like that curling bullshit. I don't know if anything's really overhyped as much as it maybe doesn't apply to what results you want. Nothing comes to mind. Exercise that I don't do because I feel like they're overhyped. I don't know. I can't think of anything. I mean, I do a lot of things that most people don't do anyway. Like, I do my hack squats differently than most people do the hack squats. I do them Tom Platt style. It's fantastic. That's a good question. It's a good question. I don't know what most people are doing. I mean, if you give me an exercise, I'd be like, oh, that's a little bit. I think there's a lot of things that are I don't know about overhyped. I don't know if overhyped is the right word. I know what you mean, but maybe overdone for the benefit, right? People focus on them too much without getting, like, they're not ideal for the benefits. Like, I guess leg press. I mean, I think leg press is overhyped. But there are some, I mean, doesn't mean you can't get a good workout in, but there's better choices, right? So it's a tool. You can definitely do certain things on a leg press or certain angles or things like that you wouldn't be able to do on another thing. But, I think there's better choices. It doesn't mean you can't get a good workout. It doesn't mean some people don't swear by it, but I think that's probably the most popular exercise that people do that most people shouldn't be doing or don't need to do or are wasting their time on it. Genevieve, my endurance and energy was way stronger than normal doing that approach, and the workout took the same amount of time. Yeah, you're just getting more. The beautiful thing is when you're training, this is why I said at the earlier part of the show, is that it's about the progressive overload. Are you lifting more weight? Are you getting stronger? So that's what's really important. You want to get stronger, you want to build muscle, but that's going to take, like, you want to put more effort into those sets. I would rather do 1 or 2 sets, heavier weight, because a lot of times if you do 4 sets for an exercise, the last couple sets, you're not getting the same amount of reps. It's just you're getting weaker and weaker. You're already drained. You used all your energy for the earlier sets. And it doesn't mean that you're not training for those warm-up sets. So you're also gauging how much you're going to lift for that exercise. So you might be doing like a general warm-up set, and then your next set might be a little bit heavier, and you're like actually more, really pushing towards the weight that you're going to be using, but you're not going to push yourself to failure. And then that last set or two, then you're going all out for that last 1 or 2 sets, or you're doing 3 warm-up sets and then 1 all fucking out. So you're gauging to make sure that, what weight you're using, and if you can put on like a 5-pound or whatever it is, depends on the exercise, but you can push a lot harder. Or shrugs overhyped. I think upper traps are overtrained. So people shrug, and most people don't know that there's 3 parts to the trapezius muscle. So I think shrugs are overdone. I don't know about overhyped. You can get a lot of exercise. You can get a lot of great stuff from doing club work is great for traps. You can do farmer's walks. Deadlifts are great for traps. Kettlebell work like cleans and snatches are great for traps. Most people don't train their middle and lower traps properly. So their upper traps are overtrained. So, overhyped, maybe not the right word, but overtrained. I think there's a lot of exercise that aren't necessarily overhyped. It's just a lot of people do things that aren't optimal for the results that they want. So like I said, there's a lot of tools in the gym. There's a lot of different ropes. I have a bunch of different ropes. I have so many different handles, and certain ones might be better, or I'd feel it better for certain exercises. So there's a lot of different machines and a lot of different things that you can do. There's so many different ways you can adjust your training splits. It's just about keeping your brain fresh, staying focused, putting enough energy in, progressively overloading, and doing the exercise that's going to get you the results that you want for the outcome you desire. A lot of times, like, again, if you're doing I don't know, a lot of leg press and you're trying to build your legs big, there's better exercise. It's not the right tool optimally. So I don't know if there's really ever a bad exercise. There's a lot of times people say, oh, behind the neck pull downs or pull ups or behind the neck presses, or Jeff just said upright barbell rows should be avoided. Like, I don't know. I disagree. I think it depends on the person. I've done upright rows in the past. I haven't done them in a while, but I've never had an issue. And a lot of people do that. A lot of like famous bodybuilders have done that. Same thing with behind the neck presses. I don't do them. I don't recommend them to people, but it really is about your joints and how mobile they are and how open your shoulder joint is. And if you're mobilized and trained, there are a lot of people that look at a Jefferson curl, you know, the stretching one that we do all the way down, like, oh my God, that's terrible for your back. Bullshit. You just have to build up your strength over time, mobility at the end range of motion. It's not bad to do. It's bad if you've never done it and you grab 100 pounds and fucking stretch, you'll blow your shit out because you don't have the capacity for it. But building up over time, there's nothing bad about it. Your body's going to adapt to any kind of stress you put it through. So if you do a lot of range of motion training, you will improve your strength in that range of motion training. But I think for most people, you know, for example, upright barbell rows, behind the neck, all that stuff, yeah, you should generally avoid it because people that are internally rotated and, protract, they're all like rounded shoulder, upper cross syndrome, then doing a lot of external rotation, they're going to have a lot of pain because they're at a desk, they're playing video games or on their phone all the fucking time. So their shoulders are really tight. Their shoulder joint is really closed off. So doing a lot of external rotation is going to cause a lot of friction and impingement over time, and tendonitis and rotator cuff issues are going to be more likely. So it's really what you're exposed to. If you do a lot of overhead exercises when you're younger, you play a lot of basketball or baseball, for throwing, of course, that's unilateral. But if you do a lot of like this motion, you do a lot of overhead stuff when you're younger, your joints are going to form a little bit more open. There's genetics involved too with the way the acromion is like the bone structure. But if you do a lot of mobility when you're younger growing up, that's why kids should be climbing trees and reaching up overhead and hanging like doing dead hangs when they're little. Put your kid up on a bar and have them hang. Grip strength, shoulder mobility. If they're at a desk playing video games or in school and always on their phone looking down at an iPad, they're going to have a lot of shoulder tightness, and then they're going to be more compromised if they do movements overhead when they get older. So it's really what you're exposed to. This is why I'm always hesitant to be like, oh, this exercise is bad. I would say that certain exercises are not ideal for the majority of people. But then you have this old guy in the gym who's been doing behind the neck presses for 70 years. Like, go tell him that it's bad. I mean, it's obviously not hurting his shoulder. Maybe there's a better exercise still objectively. Hey, if you do this exercise in front, it's easier on your shoulder. You could build more muscle because you could lift more. I mean, it's more realistic. Like, when are you pushing something back over your head? But I think there can be a great thing. You could maybe go really light with a bar or a dowel, like a wood dowel, and push up, behind the neck kind of for stretching and for mobility. So is it really bad, or is it just people look at that? Oh, they do 135 in front. They're just going to go 135 behind the neck. It's like, yeah, you're going to fuck your shit up. But if you grab just a wooden bar as to warm up to improve your shoulder range of motion, you can still do your loads in front, but a movement in itself is only going to be relative to what the body has adapted to over time. Let's see. Lacey, behind the neck press just got outed in my programming. It's a learned move for me for sure. The intent is to increase my overhead power. Yeah. So I'm not saying that you have to do your heavy strength training behind the neck, but you should be able to be mobile. You should be able to have a bar, like a wood dowel. There's no weight and just push up. It's great for stretching. It's like it's like a cobra or a prone press. That's kind of behind the neck. Grab a bar and put it behind your neck and then do the prone press on the incline. You don't need to do a lot of weight. You're not going to be able to. Just think about it. Stink about it, Bish. All right, we're about to wrap up soon. If you got more questions, drop in the comments. # Ask Papa Swolio. Light day, light work, fam. Light work. Let's get a little church in the meantime. Oh. Hello. What's up? Hello. What's going on? You okay? Why are you up? Why are you up? What's going on? You okay? Why are you just staring down like that? You okay? You good? Just hanging out? Tainty Man's hanging out? The church is hanging out? Let's see. Lacey, do you have any aggression issues with her? With church? Aggression. I mean, she might bark at people that she doesn't know, and she might like run down the street if someone's walking down the street. She doesn't bite them or anything. She might like, rawr, rawr, like she'll bark, but she's not like she doesn't bark all the time. But if, you know, someone comes to the door, like she'll bark, but Rufus, the dogs always bark if like UPS comes and stuff like that. But of course, if someone's coming to the door like UPS or FedEx, I want them barking. So I kind of got out of the habit. At the beginning, it's like, no, shh, like, no. But then at the same time, it's like, well, I thought about it differently. If someone comes to the door, I'd rather them bark like crazy. You don't want them to be like, oh, someone's at the door, be quiet. Let's see. So people always look at her now and like, oh, she's so sweet, so calm. She's super hyper. She'll run around like a fucking psychopath. She's just chill in certain times, in certain positions. All right. Let's see. Lacey, mine is sweet and she's a baby, but she's a little shit. They had to muzzle her for her nails. She's not an issue for me to touch her paws. Well, just keep on touching her paws. So when you have a puppy, you want to make sure, first off, a couple recommendations for anyone. Like, I'm not a dog expert, but if you have multiple dogs, make sure you feed them in their rooms. Just give them each cages. Don't feed them in the open so they don't get any food aggression. But when they're puppies, like, take their food away, fuck around with them while they're eating. You know, take them out, take the food away, pick them up, you know, ruffle them up a little bit. Like, if Rufus is eating, I go over there and I'll just take his food. And he'll be like, and I put it back and he's like, oh, okay. You know, I'll like rustle him and I'll kind of like slap him, like, good boy. And I grab his fluff and stuff like that. So they just get used to being fucked around with when they eat. It'll mitigate food aggression and stuff like that. But just make sure you touch their paws regularly. You know, right? You touch your paws? You touch your paws? Look at her nails. They're so long. She's getting groomed on Wednesday, though. They're so long. You're so aggressive. Everyone's like, why is church so aggressive? Why are you so aggressive? Why are you so aggressive? Okay. You want to lay on the side? Why do you always have to be off camera? You're so cute. All right, dog talk. Nice. Jeff, what does Rufus weigh? I haven't weighed him in a few weeks or so, but he's about 90-ish, 90 something. He seems like he's gotten a little bit taller in the last like couple weeks. He seems like sometimes I'll look down or we'll wake up in the morning, he'll come out of the room and I'll look, damn, you look a little bit, he's a little bit taller, I think. He's probably going to grow for his breed, like larger breeds will take like 18 months. So he's like adolescent now. So he's going to kind of fill out, I guess. But he's probably about 90 pounds. That reminds me, I need to weigh him again. I haven't weighed him in a bit. The tainty boy. Weigh the taint. Will, do you use a protein powder? And if you don't, then why do you think so many people use it to get their protein in each day instead of eating meat? Well, some people do both. A lot of people will eat meat and then they'll eat protein powder. I think they think it's easily absorbable or they're at the gym and they want to get something in immediately. So there's a couple reasons why a powder or a liquid right after a workout is better in many ways. If you want to eat immediately after, the sympathetic nervous system is turned on. sending blood to the muscles and elevated heart rate and respiratory rate, all that stuff. Right after a workout, eating food for some people, they might feel a little bit nauseous. They don't like to eat like a solid heavy meal right after because there isn't a lot of blood in the around as much around the stomach, and the body has to kind of shift gears. So they'll usually wait an hour after they work out, and then they'll feel like their stomach is settled, etc. Some people can just pound food right away. Everyone's different. It's also what you get used to. But personally, I don't use any. We have some grass-fed whey, but I don't use that anymore. I just have some kefir. I just have the raw kefir that we have because it's easily digestible. The lactose is broken down. It's tons of protein. So I started using that as my post-workout, and it's been pretty good. Been pretty good. And why do I think? I think people are lazy. I think people think they need. We got a question earlier. Hey, I just started working out. What's better, creatine or protein? People think that they go to the gym, so they need a supplement. It's great marketing. The entire marketing, Vitamin Shop, GNC, all these things. Man, and plus a lot of gyms have all these things in there. They just think that they train, so they need a protein, as if that's doing something different. Oh, I'm eating this protein. I'm training, so I need this container of processed protein. There's also likely processing issues like heavy metals and impurities and stuff like that, or artificial sweeteners and sugars, and depends. Or concentrate, protein concentrates. They'll give you indigestion and gum up your system. So you're better off getting it from whole foods primarily. But you can experiment with things immediately after. I just don't do it after. I just don't do it anymore. I've taken a lot of proteins, but if you hear people say, oh, I got protein farts, you get gas or you have protein, that's not normal. That's indigestion. If you're getting gassy after you have a protein powder, it's probably not digesting well. You have some imbalances in your gut. That's not a normal thing. I eat this and I just shit my brains out. That's not good. If you're shitting your brains out, your body's evacuating for whatever reason. There's a bacterial imbalance. There's some kind of inflammation. You're dehydrated as a result, or you have inflammation in your gut lining. So your body is impaired with absorbing nutrients. This is another problem with leaky gut. When you have leaky gut and you have inflammation, you have gaps and junctions, not only is your immune system jacked up and your stress hormones through the roof because your body is fighting off food particles and things that are getting through those gap junctions in your small intestines, but it also negatively affects your ability to absorb vitamins and minerals. So people that have like distended stomachs, or they grab their stomach like, oh, you know, it must be something I ate, you know, I'm bloated. And they grab their stomach. Your stomach's up here, fam. Your stomach's up here. It's not down by your belly button. It's not that low. That's your small intestines. So if you have people that are distended down there, it's because they have inflammation, leaky gut, and they have bloating from the separations in their small intestines. So people that have a lot of distension in their gut, that's chronic inflammation. It's no good. No bueno. Let's see. Will, I know you talk about eating white rice as a carb source, but why don't you talk about potatoes as a carb source? Is it more of a preference thing, or do you have issues with people eating it? Well, a lot of people have issues eating it. It's not that I have a problem with people eating it. High in oxalates, and for example, white potatoes are also a nightshade. So people that have a lot of inflammation and are trying to lose water weight and body fat, you should cut out and avoid potatoes, in my opinion. High in oxalates, and also white potatoes in particular are part of the nightshade family. So some people have unique issues with like white potatoes. I don't eat white rice either. I haven't had white rice or potatoes in a long, long time. So, but a lot of people, if you dabble or have a little bit, it could be beneficial if that's something that you feel like you need or you can try. Let's see, Michelle. I had kefir with a hint of raw honey before my workout today and had so much energy, felt great, but would it be better to save it for after? I personally wouldn't have kefir before a workout. That doesn't sound like a good time for me personally, but I would actually, and this is not, I don't want people to get over obsessed with like these nuances, but these are just things that you could be aware of, that honey with kefir might neutralize some of the probiotic qualities of kefir, because honey is a natural antibiotic. So you might have some canceling out. So personally, I don't put honey in my kefir for that reason. Just something to think about. Mika, another YouTuber I watch, talks about cream of rice all the time. Oh, that's like that instant, like the things that come in like the box. Yeah. Steffi, I eat a handful of raw chickpeas and lentils before my morning 3-mile walk and daily workout. Holy shit. Are you a vegan, Steffi? Chickpeas and lentils. I'm only cringing because you typed it. Before your workout. Good gracious. A lot of people eat those things like the cream of rice and grits and shit like that. That's like an old school bodybuilding thing. A lot of people have sugar and they pound tons of sugar or candy. I used to have Sour Patch Kids because they get a better pump. You know, you spike your insulin, you spike that sugar before you go train, but it's not necessary. It's more damaging for your insulin receptors, more damaging for your body than beneficial. Again, are you trying to get a pump? Are you trying to, like, what do you want the outcome to be? There's a big difference between longevity and overall health and getting as big as possible or getting a sick pump in the gym. Again, like I talked about earlier in the episode, not all fitness and training not everything is the same. People look at bodybuilding and then CrossFit and then getting leaner and building. It's not all the same. So whereas one type of eating might get you bigger or you might gain weight faster by taking weight gainers, eating all these carbohydrates and stuff like that. But are you also taxing your body, consuming a lot of oxalates and lectins and spiking your insulin like crazy all the time? Is it taxing on your pancreas? Like all these other things do matter. And these are things that some people don't care about until they have some diagnosis when they're 40 or 50 and realize, oh shit, I should have been more careful with this. So, and this is another reason to be careful if you're watching someone mentioned some like YouTuber or something, I don't know. But if you watch like what a 20-year-old YouTuber does for views, don't equate that if you're 45 and you're like, oh, I want to be healthier. Let me pay attention to what a 20-year-old kid does to get more views on YouTube. So be very careful how you equate like what someone's doing for what purpose and if that would actually benefit you. A lot of these things are disgusting. You can't eat meat? Fucking hell. What can you eat? What animal proteins can you eat? Is it just red meat? Have you, like, what about fish? What about chicken? Is it all, like, what is it? I know I have heard of alpha-gal. That's like, that's what you get from like certain ticks or things like that. But what does, I'm suspicious of that. I feel like there's something else that can be done. I haven't gone down the rabbit hole on that, but I'm aware of the syndrome. That's a bummer. The problem with those types of proteins is that they're not as bioavailable as animal proteins. Plus the other aspects of lectin content and digestibility or anti-nutrients. So it depends on what you're consuming. As long as you're navigating it properly. I'm just curious as to more details as to what. Avian and fish are the animal protein. So you can have chicken and fish. Well, that's good. Let's see. Michael, Papa Swolio, we were buying our grass-fed beef yesterday and noticed there was 92/8. And 85/15 doesn't matter. Sorry if you addressed this before. So you're talking about the lean versus, we always get 85/15. I don't go super lean. I don't get lean unless we're making jerky. We usually make it from London broil, but I don't usually eat leaner steaks like ribeye or ground beef. Ours is usually 85/15. But think about it, 85/15 versus 92/8, 7%. If you're eating grass-fed butter or you're cooking in tallow, you're probably getting plenty of fats anyway. We usually just, ours is usually, I think it's 85/15, if that helps. All right, good questions. Let's see. Freddie, Papa Swolio, with the reverse hyperextension. At the top, my feet want to turn outwards. Is that normal or is it a sign of weakness? Reverse hyperextension. So you mean like the glute? Like the one that I do when I you swing your legs back and forward. Is that the one you're talking about? Your feet want to turn outwards. Is that normal or a sign of weakness? I mean, your feet turn out or it's your hips. I mean, it's normal. Everyone's hip joint is going to move differently. I wouldn't overly worry about it. If your kind of legs are turning out, for example, if you're doing hyperextensions, glute focus with a round back, you'll hit the glutes more with your femur, with your legs externally rotated. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. You can try turning them in and, kind of figure it out, but I wouldn't overly obsess about it. Yeah, I don't like lean ground beef personally. I was going to read a question from Instagram. I couldn't even read it. Best exercise to rise the damn nice shoulder? Shoulder? Oh, fuck. It's Deepak 711. Let's do this one. Deepak, how to reduce muscle soreness? Well, muscle soreness is normal after training. I would make sure that you're getting quality sleep, you have quality nutrition, sauna, cold plunge. All these things are beneficial as like a staple, mobility, yoga. So if you're getting overly sore, let's say you're normally training, you're normally crushing a certain way, but you notice your soreness lasting longer, it's lingering, you might not be recovering enough, you might need to deload a little bit, maybe you're doing too much volume for your workouts, maybe your programming needs adjusting. So delayed soreness and soreness that's greater than normal, or you're not recovering as well, it could be a sign that you're under recovering and you need better nutrition or sleep or electrolytes or things like that. Then let them turn out, Freddie. Then let them turn out. Proper mobility is important, but it doesn't mean that just let them turn out. I mean, everyone's gonna be a little bit different. I can't really give you nuance unless I see it, but I'm sure you're fine. I wouldn't be alarmed. Doing that exercise is great. Most people don't, so it's a great thing to do anyway. Will, Papa Soy, when doing pull downs, is there a certain grip that you prefer, such as straight bar, V bar, or any mag bar? Pull downs. Well, pull downs are not like, what are you trying to hit? It's not the pull down. It's what muscle group are you trying to hit? Pull down's not really for lats. You need to pull, if you're just doing your overhead pulling down, that's not really an optimal movement for your lats. So if you're trying to hit lats, you really want to get a little bit more from the front. So you can offset yourself. You could do a kneeling pull down. You could do your pull-ups with your legs straight and pointed in front of you, like not like horizontal, but so you can kind of get that angle for the pull. Because if you're doing straight up and down, it's a little bit more teres major. You're not hitting the lats as much because the lats, if you move your arm to the front, you'll see the lats swoop upward. You need more, going from a flex position in this sense. You need a little bit more, I would say, from like that horizontal angle, a lower angle than complete straight up and down. You need a little bit more like here. So you're pulling down to midline. And once you get to the midline of your body, if you keep on pinching backwards, you're getting more rhomboids and middle trap. So it's kind of down here. So muscles have different actions depending on their length. When muscles get too shortened, other muscles will take over. So shorter muscles will take over. So a lot of people might do a full, complete motion, but if your focus is the lats, you might want to abbreviate the motion if you're trying to target a specific muscle. So pull downs for upper back. They're better upper back exercises than a pull down. That's not really ideal for, if you want to do upper back, you're better off doing a row. You're better off doing like a low, high row or like a T-bar row. You're better off. You're better off doing like a chest supported row would hit your upper back more. Let's see, Frank, I lean backwards at about 30 degrees when doing lat pull downs. Does that help? You're less stable. The stability isn't there for the pull down. So you're leaning back, like you're using a lot of energy in order to try to stabilize rather. There's better, like if you're trying to hit the lats more, there are better choices than a 2-arm leaning because you use a lot of your body momentum and you're not as stable because your legs might be trapped under the machine, right? With the pad, but you're using a lot of extra energy to try to yank back, and there's better movements. You can just use a single handle and kneel and do a single arm pull down, or use a pull down machine or a pull over. There's just different, better options if you're trying to hit the lats specifically. I'm just talking about, most people do this for lats. So if you're doing it for a different reason, I'm not saying it's bad, but I never really liked pull downs from a machine. I never really liked those. I like pull ups better. I would do pull ups easily over like just a standard lat pull down. I think that's a little bit, that might be a little bit more overrated. Freddie, lower body exercises that help with lower body exercise that help decompress the spine. What other options are there? Sled pulls are an option. That's great. Dead hangs, and you're fine with that, and reverse hypers. I mean, there's a lot of, decompressing the spine, I guess that's your opinion. I mean, depends. Doing like a child's pose can help decompress the spine. Doing downward dog and yoga will help decompress the spine. Frank, thanks. I just didn't want to be wasting time and energy. No, I hear you. I just think there's certain exercises like, so you know those machines, like I guess there's a lot of them, but like hammer strength machines where you have the seat, you put the thing on your pad, but you also have your chest against a pad, and you have like the lat machine where you're pulling down like this, right? And the weights behind are like the anchor. So like the handles go like this. That's crushing your lats. Like that's crushing your lats. So notice how that's not straight down. The handles kind of come here and they come forward, but your chest is supported. So when you're pulling down, your chest is pushing in. So if you're trying to isolate certain areas, like I love barbell rows. I think barbell rows are great. I think T-bar rows are great. But objectively speaking, if it's not chest supported, your weakest link is your lower back, your weakest link. There's so many more things working. It's a great overall strength and power movement, but you're not putting as much focus on those muscles that you're trying to work because you're stabilizing. So if you get a chest supported row, like I have one that attaches to my squat rack, or you can use a bench with dumbbells, there's nothing working but the fucking, like your lats. There's nothing working but your rhomboids, your middle and lower traps. Like that's all that's fucking driving up your teres major because your chest is supported. So it's isolating those things. It's like a preacher curl. You can't swing when you're on a preacher curl because your arm is in that shortened position. Julian in the Telegram chat says, another YouTuber I watch makes meat shakes. He mixes ground beef with chicken and water. That's disgusting. All right. And remember, a lot of these movements, like rows, they do hit the lats as well, but they just don't hit them as much as other movements. So if you're thinking, well, when I do this exercise, I feel it here a little bit, sure, you might feel it in certain aspects of the muscle. It doesn't mean that when you're doing a row, you're not hitting your lats. I mean, they're still attached to your fucking arm. They're still working. It's just not as much focus on that muscle until you optimize the angle. So this is where you get into more bodybuilding and isolation and certain focused exercises. When you put a muscle in an optimal length to produce the force with the biomechanically advantageous position, you are going to target. So when you're doing a pull down, like from the front, yeah, you're hitting your lats more. It doesn't mean your rotator cuff or your infraspinatus isn't working. It doesn't mean that your teres minor and teres major aren't working. It doesn't mean that your serratus inferior posterior isn't working. It just means that from that position, most of that lat is going to be in the optimal position, and it's going to take the brunt of that exercise. So when you're doing a row, you're hitting like if you're doing a barbell row, you're fucking hitting every muscle in your body, everything, your feet, your calves, your quads, like everything is stabilizing because otherwise you'd collapse to the ground. It's just what muscle is getting targeted the most. So if you're doing a barbell row, yeah, you might just build some overall strength and overall load. You could maybe go heavier with a barbell row than you can with other exercises. So it might improve your work capacity, your overall physiological load, but it might not be ideal for a given exercise. Like if you're trying to build up your lats, doing a barbell row is not the ideal movement, but it's great for thickness. A deadlift isn't ideal for the lats, but it'll build overall thickness. A chest supported row isn't ideal for lats, but it will hit the lats. It just won't put as much stress as doing it from the proper angle, the proper stretch to the proper completion point. So it can get very nuanced. I just don't like when people get overly scientific. You always have these people on here, like on especially TikTok and fucking Instagram. Well, if you take your arm here and you rotate slightly and you go here and then you kind of lean to the side, it's like, Jesus Christ, you're going to sacrifice actual gains by over obsessing with like little, and then you have someone end up exercising like this. They'll go like that. They'll go, I'm working my lats. I'm isolating my lats. It's like, Jesus Christ, you're better off throwing on some fucking plates and going hard. You can overdo it. You can overtake it. You can really get obsessive and, well, the science and the EKG or the EMG, the electrical stimulus shows that, fuck, lift heavy fucking weights. So you have to find that balance between, hey, this is a good exercise and, you know, like put away your clipboard. This is going to stimulate this muscle. Don't over obsess it. A lot of people leave gains on the table because they're over focused on some minute details rather than just lifting heavy fucking weights. Just make sure you don't overdo it. Last couple questions. Frank, when you're doing dumbbell rows, should I keep my back flat or do it at an angle when having one knee and hand on a bench? I personally never do rows like that. So I would do it off a rack or I would do chest supported rows. All right. Freddie, and I would do when you're doing dumbbell rows, if you're using your right hand, you're doing rows with your right hand, put your right foot forward. Freddie, Papa Swolio with the reverse hyper, would just holding it at the bottom position be a good stretch? My brain is just thinking of some weird stop thinking of weird questions. Don't just ask questions to ask. Holding at the bottom, there's no weight. You're just like resting at the bottom. It could be a good stretch. You're just hanging there. Nothing wrong with it, but just do the exercise. Do dead hangs, hanging from a bar, hold it for a minute or two, make sure you're doing those and just do your reverse hypers. Do your reverse hypers. Do it. Do it. All right. Good questions though. Freddie's like, what else can I ask? All right, fam. Reminder, tomorrow's episode is private for members only. We have our Swole Fam accountability meeting. So if you're a member and you do have any follow-up questions, tomorrow at 12 noon is a time to ask. We'll have some Swolosophy on the public podcast. Just a little heads up for those of you that might be watching on or try to watch on Spotify. There's been some issues. I've talked to support. They're working on it. They didn't tell me when it would be done, but there's been some issues, a couple episodes in the past week or so. The video, when I upload, it just says error processing upload, blah, blah, blah. So I've had to upload only the audio. So if you watch on Spotify normally, just keep that in mind. Some episodes might just be audio. Some might be video too, but you can always watch on YouTube if you want to watch the video, but hopefully that gets fixed soon. I haven't had any issues up until like the last week or so. So they made some major platform updates. So maybe something got lost in the mix. But if you do normally watch on Spotify, just stay tuned. I'll try to upload it. But if it says error processing upload, I haven't had issues with the audio. So at least you get the audio there too. But if you normally watch, that's why you might have a couple episodes that only have audio. Okay. That being said, let's give away today's Swole card. Let's see the Tainty Man first. Aww. Tainty Man and the church. And she's kind of off camera. Hashtag Swole season. You could drop your last couple hashtags and we'll give that away. One more question at the buzzer. Will, because I know sometimes there's a delay with chat. When doing barbell squats, is there a big difference between back squats and front squats? Yes. I prefer front squats, but I know there's a lot of benefits to back squats as well. Actually, front squats are superior in my opinion in many ways. Front squats are definitely more quad focused. It'll help you stay more upright, but A lot of people have issues with front squats because of their mobility, holding for a clean grip or a cross grip. You could also do it. A great way is to add hook straps around the bar, like the lifting straps. Bring an extra pair or bring your pair and then hook them onto the bar and then hold them right here so you can keep your elbows up. Front squats are great. They're less stress on the lower back. They're more quad focused. But if you have issues, if you have long legs, which is an issue, or poor ankle mobility, work on your ankle mobility. You can't change the length of your legs, but you can also elevate your heels so you can stay more upright. So front squats are, in my opinion, and if you normally do back squats and you normally do, let's say 135 pounds, if you start doing front squats, don't put 135 pounds on the bar. Trust me, put like a 10 on each side. You're not gonna be able to do it. You're gonna have weak erectors and thoracic extension. Trust me, it'll be humbling for you. But front squats are great. In many ways, I prefer them. I usually do when I do squats, I do it for a quad focus. This is a reason why people use squat shoes or lifting shoes, because they're elevated heels. So you can get blocks, you can get these wedges on Amazon, you can get one single one, you can get individual ones and angle them. But when you do squats, in my opinion, squats are not for the glutes, they're for the quads. Really, they're much better. If you want glutes, they're much better exercise. A lot of people think that squats work glutes, but of course, if you do back squats, it will be more posterior chain focused. But a lot of people have issues doing back squats because they have poor mobility, poor ankle mobility, poor knee mobility, and hip mobility, and they lean forward a lot and they hurt their back because they don't address these issues. So elevate your heels or use a front squat position, and or you can also elevate your heels doing that so you can stay more upright. Will says, trust me, I know from doing front squats lately, I have my heels elevated and it's helped a lot. Great. And when you do front squats and you elevate your heels and all of a sudden, doesn't it feel like all of a sudden you're open, right? All of a sudden, my God, my fucking quads, like they're pumped and you don't have pressure on your back. It's a good idea. Okay, fam, let's give away today's Swole card. Here we go. Falcon. Kick us off, baby. Let's go. Hashtag Swole season. We'll give away this Swole card. You fucking sluts. Bam, bam, ba-da, boom. All right, we got a winner. Today's Swole season winner, Brennan. Congratulations. Congratulations. Brennan, send us an email to support@swolenormous.com. Swole card 2552 in the subject, your mailing address in the body of the email. Congratulations. We'll take some soundboard requests. We got some piano talk coming up in a moment. And of course, tomorrow, 12 noon Eastern Time, accountability meeting. Yaz Beaches. Don't be a beach, don't be a boosh. Come to the accountability meeting. Start off the week with the Swole fam. Great new releases tomorrow, fam. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be great. Absolutely fucking great. All right.
We choose truth over facts.
Saint man.
I arrived in America's airport with clothing, US dollars, and a jar of gypsy tears to protect me from AIDS.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
No hands. Coast to coast. All right, fam. Very nice. All right, fam. Thanks for being here. We'll see you tomorrow at the accountability meeting. Join the fam, swolenumber6.com, and you'll have access to all the content that will help you crush your 7 pillars. And we're always adding more. We got a lot of plans for more masterclass, all this stuff. There's only so much time in a day and a week, but we're always working on the next best thing and getting a lot of ideas always from these questions. So thank you for being here. We'll see you tomorrow at the accountability meeting, 12 noon Eastern time. Thanks for being here. Peace, McGee's, Deuce Magoose, your boy Papa Swolio. Out.
Crazy flow, need a straight jacket. Cash flow, I'm a bank addict. 6 subs, had the bass smacking. 808s, had the place clapping. 3 girls is enough for me, so I pull out like the stock's crashing. Like an IPO trying to purchase me. This a private sector, so you can't have it. Faking all that boom bapping. Who you think you is, boy? 90s want they sound back, so I give rap all these fake rappers as I take matters in my own hands. I don't need rapping, I don't need Zans. I don't need help, I'm a grown man. Now they king left and they so mad, it's like
yeah, I found that young king with my crown at 10 racks in the fanny pack, couple hundred in the Louis bag.
That's a bed that you made. That's a bed that you made. That's a bed that you made. That's a bed that you laid. What kind of game is you playing? We go hard in the paint you. What the fuck is you saying? I only go where they pay. What kind of game is you playing? Yeah, whoa, my shit is relevant. Off topic, my melanin is popping. I'm taking skeletons on closets and making new deposits. I'm in my element. No,